You are watching Macro TV. We are busy with Study Unit 2, the basic model of the macroeconomy, and we're in Chapter 3 of Fourie and Burger. This video is number 2 of 10, explaining this basic model of the macroeconomy, and we are adding the financial sector to what we've already learned about the real sector and aggregate spending in the economy. In the previous video, we talked a bit about the financial sector, the financial intermediaries, the relationship between financial instruments price and the interest rate earned on that. And in this video, we're turning our attention to money. So money is defined as a medium of exchange, anything that's used as a form of payment. Now, typically we refer to cash, which would be notes and coins, but also money in a check account. So electronic money would count as well. The key characteristic is that it has to be immediately available for transactions. You realize that it's possible to take a portion of your wealth and keep it in cash and take another part of it and invest it in some financial instrument. But then it's not immediately available to conduct transactions. So we're focusing only on that cash component, the real amount of money that people require for transactions. If you're saving up or investing somewhere else, that doesn't form part of the demand for money. Now, there are three types of demand or three motives for having a demand for money. The obvious one is the transactions demand. You need money available in order to pay for transactions. You may also exercise the precautionary motive for having money, and that means having money at hand in case there are unforeseen transactions. So you don't invest all your extra money. Some of it needs to be ready in case your car breaks down. Speculative demand has to do with that relationship between investing your money in some financial assets versus keeping it in cash in your pocket. So if you're keeping money in cash in your pocket, in case a good investment opportunity comes along, that becomes the speculative demand. But you'll realize there's a negative relationship between speculative demand and interest rates. If interest rates are low, it's cheap to have a lot of money liquid and available on hand. But if interest rates are low, it means having money in cash, that means that you're not really earning interest on it. And you would rather then reduce your speculative demand and actually invest in some portfolio where you would earn interest. So the determinants of the amount of money that people demand are firstly income. So if income increases, there's a greater demand for money. You need more money to transact if you have high income. That means there's a positive relationship between income and the demand for money. The same goes for price. If the average price level increases, then you need more money to pay for the same transactions. And an increase in the price is positively associated with the demand for money. Nominal interest rates, there's a negative relationship with the demand for money. Because if you are holding cash on hand, you're not earning interest. And if interest rates are high, you're really losing out. Then at high interest rates, the demand for money is low. Now that's basically summed up in the little equation you see at the top of this line, where the demand for money is a function of interest rates negatively, income positively, and then price positively. It's possible to express that same equation in real terms, which just means dividing the quantity of money demanded by the price level. That is a function of interest rates and income. Now you can also add two terms here, and you'll see the K there multiplied with Y, and that gives you a measure of the responsiveness of the real money demand to changes in income. It's easy to think about the fact that if income increases, how much more of that extra income will you be keeping in cash, and how much of that will you invest in some kind of financial instrument? K is a measure of that decision, that responsiveness to a change in income. There's also an L that gets added or multiplied with the I term in the equation. That represents the responsiveness of the real money demand to changes in the nominal interest rate. And we know if the nominal interest rate goes up, it reduces the speculative demand. It pays to then put your money into a financial asset. But for what bigger change in interest rates do you need in order to change the demand for money? So both these parameters gives an idea of the sensitivity of the money demand to changes in either income or the interest rate. Now we like to show sort of things in graphs, and you can plot the demand for money with interest rates on the vertical axis and the real quantity of money on the horizontal axis, and you can see that it's a downward sloping line, very similar to a normal demand curve. So there's a negative relationship between interest rates and the quantity of money, and at high interest rates, a small amount of money is held, and at low interest rates, the demand for money is much larger. The whole curve will shift if there's changes in income and changes in price. So if income increases, the whole money demand curve shifts to the right. In other words, a greater quantity of money is demanded at every interest rate. Now, because this is real money demand, a change in the price also influences the whole money demand line. So if price levels increase, the demand for money will shift to the left. Any change in the interest rate is reflected as a movement along the curve. Now, to conclude, this section introduced the demand for money and showed how we sort of walk through the derivation of the money demand function. In the next video, we'll have a look at the supply of money.